Welcome, welcome, people. Welcome, beautiful people, to Adventures with Truth. I'm your captain, V. Crack Sparrow, and today is a day with mixed feelings. I don't know when you're seeing this, but today is 26th November, 26/11, 26/11. Does that ring a bell? Do you remember? Hmm? Do you? Do you remember? 26/11. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Hopefully there are two things that comes to your mind. Am I audible better now? I hope so. So yeah. So first thing could be the 26/11 attacks, the terrorist attacks that happened in Mumbai a few years back. I think I was still in school back then. Not school, college, whichever. But that's not the only thing. You know, another another significant thing happened in Indian history today, which is today is the day our constitution was completed. The Constitution Assembly, all the founding fathers of the Constitution, today was the day when they were done writing. They were said like, okay, we got it, we figured it out. It's all we had to do. We've taken all the ideas, all the inspirations from here, from there, from British Constitution, French was there, maybe Portugal was there too. And they came up with this huge constitution, I think. Almost 2 lakh words. 200,000, almost. It's, I think, one of the, if not the longest written constitution. So, yeah, today is a day we must remember. I mean, they, completed the entire constitution in November itself, but took them, about 2 months. That's when it was implemented in January. And it's been quite a long time since then. From 1950 to what? Which year is it? 23? Yeah, 23. It's about 73 years. And who feels like we are right in the spot where we might need some changes in the bloody or the lovely constitution. It has served us well, but now we need to do some things with it. While India should be, kind of remembering this day for the completion of constitution, I think these fucking terrorists, Pakistani folks, militants, they were planning another anniversary of the event, it seems like. Because I don't know how much of you have heard, but recently there was another somewhat significant attack in Jammu and Kashmir, in the Rajouri. First they were telling us that like we had lost 2 soldiers, then the number went up to 4, and right before starting this podcast I checked it, I think the number is up to 5 now. So 5 of our soldiers have lost their lives, and I think we've only gotten 2 of them, 2 terrorists. I mean, we can't even lose a single life, but even if we had to, that's quite an abysmal kill death ratio, man. Yep. We gotta have a better kill death ratio than Pakistan, for fuck's sake. I mean, not to make any kind of joke out of it. But if India had to lose its soldier, I'd at least hope that we'd keep the ratio of life lost to life taken about, I don't know, 100 to 1. I mean, there's no value for, of course, our side. That's what tribalism says, people. That's what tribalism says. The value of people on our side is more than the value of people on your side. And in a lot of cases, especially in this case, it is true. Because I would not say some Pakistani terrorist life is equivalent to a dedicated Indian patriot soldier's life. Fuck no. For each one of ours, we should take 100 of them. At least 10. At least 10, man. Come on. So yeah, we gotta step it up. And as I was reading further about the incident, I realized that it wasn't just like, those were like 5 corporals. Because, of course, in the army, there's a hierarchy, right? And what I realized is that there were, I think, 2 captains among those 5 casualties. Captains, not corporals or your sipais, which is even worse. It is worse. Because, of course, if you're on a higher rank, you have somewhat more capabilities, you have much more knowledge, experience. So in some ways, you are a more efficient soldier. Life is life, but a high ranking soldier or general or any of the decorated posts is, at least from a military standpoint, it is kind of more valuable. Hold on. Why don't you guys give me a second and let me get this mic naked. Oh yeah. I can see the mic is quite naked now. Let's see how it works. People. Let's see how it works. Looks about the same though. I hope it sounds better. So as I was saying, right, there is a hierarchy. So losing 2 captains is quite a big deal. It should be. I mean, it seems like it is. Army is taking it seriously. They gave out about a 2-hour long press statement, I think. Not 2 hour long, but it was quite a long, brief statement trying to explain the situation. And on top of 2 captains, we lost, I think, 1 paratrooper as well. Paratrooper, I mean, for those who might not know, dude, paratroopers are like some of the elite of our elites. The best of the best. Like, only a handful of people get to be a paratrooper. The skill set those guys have, those are just machines. Machines, man. Like, they don't have the flaws or limitations you and I or civilians would have. No. Those are highly trained, patriotic machines. And they have to be in, certain kind of a mindset like a machine, because these fucking cockroaches who are trying to, take out our nation. No. They should not be dealt with humanity. In some cases, let's just say that. So we can't send good old humans. Humans are sometimes blinded by their own humanity. So we gotta send the experts, the trained people, right, to handle the situation. And being an expert at fighting, paratroopers, I think, are some of the best armed forces of our country. And we lost one of them, which is like a loss on so many levels. Now, I don't want to get, confused with the theme of the last episode where loss was in the air. Because right now, grief is in the air. And blood is on the streets. And unfortunately, some of that blood has been of our soldiers. We gotta get them back. Anyways, before I digress. So this loss is on so many levels, as I was saying. So on one hand, of course, we lost lost an Indian defending the country, so that's a loss. On top of that, since he was such an elite, the loss is gonna be felt even much more so. Even much more so. Be it in case of the time and training which that guy had went through. And if now we need another soldier to fill his post, right? Now we gotta put another soldier through so much training and so much time for them to be a paratrooper. It's like these guys go through like thousands of hours of training, right? It's not just physical, mental. They're just trying to take these guys to the extreme. Like they are also proficient, not just in warfare or ground, things you see in movies, carrying rifles and shit, but they are like expert in all the fields. They can fight in water. They are expert, parasailing guys, parachuting guys. They have like hundreds of hours of jumps, or rather hundreds of jumps under their belt from parachute so that you can land in tricky situations. So they are like kind of our, I don't know, Delta team. As you know, America has their equivalents. And so, yeah, it's not always the James Bond people, or the Raw, or the Tiger. Sometimes it's the paratroopers who go on those crazy missions which we often play in our video games and get a kick out of it. I mean, I remember I used to. Call of Duty even had one mission where we had to come in India and fight terrorists. I think in Himachal Pradesh we could just drive an ATV. I wonder if India has some ATVs which have like mounted remote controlled guns on it. You just send that thing in the forest. But I don't think we have it, because I think 2 of our soldiers died trying to find more terrorists which are hiding in that region, in Rajouri, in Jammu Kashmir, that is. So yeah, time and training, loss of life, loss of so much precious Indian troops' life, far more precious than the life of the terrorists which they were trying to catch actually. Yeah, but that does raise a question. Shouldn't we be dealing with deployment of such extreme forces in a fashion where they can excel the most? If they are not the ones who are equipped for guerrilla warfare the best, should we be sending captains and, I don't know, paratroopers there? Because I don't think paratroopers are. It's not the forces of armed division which is primarily dedicated to guerrilla warfare or jungle warfare. But so why was he there? Was there a platoon? I wonder, how things work out. How does the authorities decide which force or which kind of armed group of our country we should use in a particular situation? Of course, there are some, basics that army and border security forces are towards Pakistan and Bangladesh. And then we have special frontier forces and other forces towards China region and Nepal region. But you cannot be just deploying your best of the best in tricky situations. For my Hindi loving folks, let's just say, अब हर बात में तो ऐसे ब्रह्मास्त्र नहीं छोड़ सकते ना. यहाँ पे कुछ हुआ ब्रह्मास्त्र, यहाँ पे कुछ हुआ ब्रह्मास्त्र. No, you gotta be wise with them. You only have so many brahmastra, and it takes time to recharge them babies. So yeah, years and years, crores and crores. Are paratroopers equivalent to brahmastra? I don't think so. Agni 5 probably is, If you put a nuke on that baby, or maybe BrahMos, I should do my research and check that, you know, if BrahMos is also capable of launching nukes. We should also, you know, on the anniversary of completion of our constitution, maybe India should get some more, get not some more, rather their first nuclear ballistic missile submarine. Because we don't have any right now. China's got a bunch, America's got a lot, Russia's got a lot. You can be sure France have a few, maybe Britain too. Britain probably still has one of the best navies, so they probably do. But we do need it, right? Because India has a nuke, which you can say is our Brahmastra or whatever, Shivastra, whichever the biggest, weapon is, as per the Hindu mythology or mythology, more accurately put it. So yeah, but we don't actually have much submarines. We have some submarines, but those submarines are not nuclear powered. Neither can, I think, they attack nuclear warheads. So most of our warheads have to be launched by either through land. It's probably through land. In some cases you can use the air ones, but we do need to get some shit on time. India and I think Navy has ordered another airship carrier. But those airship carriers, the ones you see with all those fighter jets landing on it, the choppers and everything, those take a crazy long time to make. I mean, essentially it's a small town. It's a village. It's a village which floats and which brings death to our enemies. That's what INS Vikrant was. That's what INS Vikramaditya is. That's what the next thing is gonna be. It's a small little village of Indian soldiers who are there to protect India and its interests by love or by force. That's what's up. But yeah, those things, I think, now that we have ordered another one, it's still gonna take about a decade. A whole fucking decade. Can you imagine? For it to get completed and delivered. Now the good thing is it's all gonna be in-house, so we are not dependent on anybody else. And yeah, but still, a decade is a long time, because from 2023 to 2033, it's a fucking long time. And I think China is getting their aircraft carrier way faster. And if, as to some experts, if there is a war from Chinese side, it's probably gonna be within a decade. Now that war is primarily focused towards Taiwan, but who knows? These Chinese motherfuckers might go crazy. Not the people, of course. No harm, no foul against the people, but the government. They might just go crazy. They're like, oh shit, we're making a move on Taiwan. Maybe let's just try to get some of India too. Get some of their Arunachal Pradesh, some of the Sikkim region. Shit, a lot of Ladakh is already gone. We might have lost, I think, another kilometer or two within our borders within past 2 to 3 months. Yeah, so who knows? So a decade is a long time to get our aircraft carrier. Hopefully the jets we are making, the Tejas Mark II, that's gonna be delivered much faster, which is good, right? Because India needs to develop its military industry, and unfortunately there have been signs that the way we are developing our military industrial complex is towards the direction of America, and that's not the direction we want to take. We don't want these military contractors or agencies, manufacturers to do shady things. There have been some cases where people were trying to sell either inferior product to Indian army, or they were forcing them into situations. I think there was a movie made about it. Ayari, I think, was it, with who was it? One of the Student of the year guy is not the Varun Dhawan guy, but the other guy, Siddharth. Siddharth, I think, yeah. And with Manoj Bajpayee, that kind of brushed on it. Movie was good. I saw it in and out. You guys can check it out. I think it's also one of the good Bollywood movies which have been made in past 5 years. Yeah, we like, of course, Bollywood don't get a lot of good movies these days, but eventually, sooner or later, here and there, stumble upon it. Speaking of the Constitution, defending the Constitution, and defense agencies. Not too while ago, I went to see Tiger 3. Not by the choice of my own, but sure, I had already unfortunately or unwisely invested in the movies before. I had already seen the previous versions on cinema hall, so yeah, had to. And once again, we saw Salman Khan with a cameo of Shah Rukh Khan doing their actiony things, tigery things. Movie was not as good as the first part, which is, I think, usually the case, or even the second part. That's something that goes with the movies. Their first part is usually the best. Second part sometimes take things up a bit better on a higher level. And by the third one, most of them have become pretty pathetic. That's not something that's limited to Bollywood. I've seen the same phenomenon in Hollywood too. Like Dhoom 1. Dhoom 1 was crazy. Dhoom 2 was even crazier. So that was an first instance where things actually went so high in the next movie that we were kind of spoiled, right? For Dhoom 3. And it took so much time to make. The script was already shady, and they just not shady, shitty. Yeah. And they tried to just, let the name of Amir Khan carry the entire thing, which was a shitty movie. Somebody has to say it. I don't know how many people have said it. It's not an unpopular opinion at all. But yeah, that happened. And coming back to the tiger situation, in every movie, like in a lot of movies, especially a lot of spy movies, they are somehow trying to show that in some ways, somewhere down in the ISI agency, which is the intelligence agency of Pakistan, there are some good guys, right? There are some good hearted guys who have everybody's best interests in their mind. They don't just wanna serve Pakistan. I mean, I don't think anybody is trying to serve Pakistan at this point, not even their own government, forces, or anybody. But yeah, anyways. So they're all trying to show you, right? Oh, Raw somehow got help from ISI, or they teamed up, or they were friends back, through the mysterious channels. And they're just trying to show they're not as, all bad or as bad things as might have you seem, as media might have you believe. But now if we talk about the 26/11 attacks, who was behind 26/11 attacks? The information has been revealed by the government, of course. Pakistan was behind 26/11 attacks in Mumbai. ISI was, right? I think one of the guys' name was Kasab. Still took us a lot of time to put that rabid dog down. We should have killed that cockroach the moment we got him. I mean, right after we got the information, we would have wanted from him, but should have killed that cockroach pretty soon. But yeah, it's alright, sooner or later. But it wasn't too much later, so in this case, it's alright. Unlike in some cases where it does take us a long time to decide how severely we want to punish the people who are trying to essentially kill our constitution, kill this country, kill our culture. And that's just not a single one, right? I've been watching some YouTube videos. Let's just say that there's a channel if you guys wanna check out. Pavneet Singh. He's on YouTube. He does these crazy deep dives in operations of Raw, ISI, going back all the way to 1947. Of course, there was no Raw back in 1947. It was just IB till few years later, R and Cow formed Raw on the behest of our PM, our then PM. And he's just explaining, and this guy just put it so nicely. He just laid out in a bunch of videos that there are over a dozen terrorist organizations which ISI is controlling, managing, funding, creating, recruiting, just to make terrorists and send them to India. For fuck's sake. And trying to, destabilize our country. If only these people had, heard this quote as this says, charity begins at home. You're trying to liberate this place, take this land, help these people, as you say, you're not terrorists. And yet these people have fucking failed to even, help their own country, their own gutter, which is becoming more and more of a gutter every day. It's just going into collapse. And still, all the money they can get by, it's used in these attacks. Luckily, of course, India is getting so much stronger, and our intelligence agencies are working together better. They're doing a lot of crackdowns. Recently, I found out about a case. There was this case that happened in Gujarat, Mumbai. I mean, it was a police case which was spread out to multiple regions. So let me tell you about this case. It's a crazy case. Like, normal regular police guys, not even the anti-terrorist squad, just stumbled upon some criminals who turned out to be a part of a large crime syndicate who were, terrorist syndicate working against India on the behalf of Pakistan. And yeah, so what happened was there were a bunch of cops, right? Policemen, regular Haldar who were just, I think, doing their duty. They were on patrol, making sure nobody is, doing anything, stealing anything, hurting anybody at night. So they were out patrolling, right? Trying to serve the people. And they just saw like there were a bunch of figures in the dark who were trying to steal some bikes. So, I mean, that's what it looked like to them, that these guys are trying to steal some bikes. So they ran towards them. And the moment they saw the cops approaching these guys, they fucking took off. They started running. And these cops are all assing them from behind with all their batons running behind them. And finally they catch him. And of course, first they thought, oh, they're just a bunch of bike thieves. No harm, no foul. We just caught some thugs off the street. Some people's vehicles are gonna be safer now. Those poor people whose bike would have been stolen, they can be, somewhat relieved now that these thieves are off the streets. But yeah, so they took those guys to police station. But later, when they tried to find what their names are and everything, find their identity, they realized that their names were not matching. Like, they have an Aadhaar card, but that Aadhaar card does not match with the name on the online portal. Okay, so maybe it's an fake Aadhaar card. They stole it from somebody to show some other identity. Now, things about showing fake identity in India is, it's not the same as anywhere else, right? Sometimes you see things about Western countries. Identity theft is very common there. Your credit cards get stolen, your social security number, which is their equivalent of Aadhaar and PAN card number, they get stolen. So your bank accounts and everything gets compromised. But in India, identity theft is used for terrorism as well. I mean, at the time, the cops didn't know that. They were just trying to figure it out. What's with these fake identity, fake Aadhaar cards, fake names that's not adding up? So they were like, okay, okay, motherfuckers, take us to your home. We're gonna put a boot up your ass and we're gonna see what's up. We're gonna see what's up there. And so, as they went to their home, they realized that, holy shit, that flat had so much contrabands and bomb building stuff and explosive. It could take out half a city, half a fucking city, tucked away in this flat. And from there, the entire thing, I think, went on to multiple different, what do you say, cities. There was another guy who was trying to portray himself as an engineer, which later turned out that he was a mastermind. It was like a huge, huge thing, which wasn't covered much by the news. So I thought you guys would want to know that. And it seemed like today is a day befitting of sharing such knowledge. And of course, as anybody with half a brain cell that's alive in your head can guess, which was the government or the country or the people that this terrorist network was connected to. I will give you 5 seconds to guess. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bingo! It's the fucking ISI. Pakistan. Fucking Pakistan. Yeah. I mean, luckily, of course, everything went smoothly for India in this case. We were able to unravel this network, but it was like purely a chance. Like, had those policemen not patrolling in that particular street, catching those particular thief, and had they not connected or even wondered about the fact, then why is the name of this guy is not matching up with the name that's on the online portal? It makes me think that, of course, there is, that benefit of digital India, that all the records, can be synchronized. We have a crazy immigration problem. Fucking America keeps bitching about its immigration problem. Sweden is also losing things. They're losing control. Things are getting out of hand in their nation. That's also due to immigration problem. But I would say India faces some of the worst immigration problems in the world, right? So in our country, people are coming from not just one Mexico or bunch of Middle East countries which go to Europe and everything, and then they cause violence and everything there. But you have Pakistan, you have Bangladesh, and then by proximity of Bangladesh, India also gets refugees or immigrants or illegal immigrants from Myanmar, Burma, that is, or that was. Some, of course, come from Nepal. I'm sure some come from Bhutan. We have not heard much about it, but we've not heard much about Northeast anyways, so that's that. And then they come from Sri Lanka, come from China. They mostly send their armies, but still. Because, of course, China send their armies, but at least those guys are wearing a uniform. The guys which come from Pakistan and they too have guns, they are dressed like civilians. At least Chinese people have the decency to be dressed as, Chinese army. So that you can see, okay, the guy has a gun, he's dressed in camouflage and he's wearing Chinese flag. It's Chinese. At least we know that's an enemy, right? He's not trying to play on our humanity or the grace that our constitution allows us to show to other human beings. He's not trying to play on that. At least you gotta give him that. Not the fucking Pakistanis and the fucking Bangladeshis and even some fucking Nepalis. These guys, they just come dressed as civilians. And nowadays, they don't even need to carry or bring a weapon. Because we got a lot of traitors within the country, and they arrange all the weapons. And you just gotta make the jump. Get dressed as civilian, portray yourself as civilian, risk the life of Indian soldiers and army personnel and our civilians, cross the border, get guns from within, and do the heinous shit you're only capable of. When will we learn? When will we learn? When will we learn? When will we learn? And it's not just about doing a bunch of surgical strikes here and there. That's not enough. You gotta sometimes, get on the offensive. Now understand, Indian culture is about being the bigger guy. We are rarely physically the bigger guy. For those, of course, Vikings and Scandinavians folks take the cake, but when it comes to your heart, forgiveness, all those good, sweet qualities that make us human, that's, I think, one of the foundations of Indian culture. And I'm not talking about non-violence principles of Gandhi, because there have been wise men before Gandhi. Some might even argue that Gandhi may or may not have been wise. Today is not the day for that discussion. Some other day we'll talk about the Andhi of the Gandhi, which never has Jandi. Otherwise, ki ho jandi. Yeah, so there was another man. He was like another great man. I won't wanna name his name. Some say he made a bridge across the ocean. You might take the hint, might not. But as that man made a bridge across the ocean, and we are trying to find some reminiscence of it, he said one thing. In war, there is only one objective: victory. युद्ध में एक ही धर्म है, विजय. By love or by force. I mean, it's probably going to be force because you are at the point of war, but sure, if you can still have some love, make some love during the war, why not? You are going to need to make a lot of love after the war because there's going to be casualties on both sides, and to replenish, you're going to need to make more babies. Yeah, so anyways, so when it comes to war, we maybe, let our ancient morals sit down for a while, just tell them, we haven't forgotten our morals, but given the state of the enemy, we must do what our dharam teaches us, which is, if it is a war, first, of course, by any means possible, avoid the war, avoid anything, make sacrifices, compromises, diplomatic solutions. But if you have started the war, it is your dharam to end it, win it, and win it quick. Because, of course, with winning quick and even a little bit more mercilessly, you end the suffering much faster. Because if you have come to the point where you're gonna do one of the worst things that humans can do, which is wage a war, might as well be a quick one. And it feels like it has been 73 years. We're trying to honor the way we do things, the way our constitution, our law, our foreign policy teaches us to handle these situations. But when will we learn? When will we learn? Is it our humanity that we have not already cut all the water supply to Pakistan because we got all the rivers? These fucking Pakistanis, Chinese fucking people, They've got all, like, most of the crazy, what do you say, death zone mountains in their territory. There are about 14 death zone mountains which are like taller than 8,000 meters. So, for mountain people, Everest is not a big deal. People aim for climbing all of these 14 mountains, which are taller than 18,000 and 8,000 meters. And of course, they're all in the Great Himalayas. But, a lot of them are not in India. Most of them are in Nepal, but some of them are in the regions which are occupied, by Pakistan and China. They got the K2. I think they might even have gotten the Nanga Parbat, Kanchenjunga. No, Kanchenjunga is ours, I think. But yeah, there's another peak, I think. Broad Peak should be ours too. K2 is ours, but yeah, yeah, holy shit, right? We are the ones who've got Himalayas, most of Himalayas. We are the ones who have states named in our country. Himachal Pradesh, Himachal people, Uttarakhand, Devbhumi. We are the ones who actually have the most use and, emotion towards Kailash. And we don't have any control over them. We don't even get to touch them. In some cases, we might be able to see them from far distance, but it's not ours. It is ours by birth, but sure, we are right now not in a position to get that. Is that, I would say, dare I say, something which our constitution should help us get to? Should there be some amendments that, in certain cases, we are allowed to do that? Because that's what matters, right? What you do, what rules you as a nation adhere to, right? Of course, we have some morals and we expect those other countries to have the same morals, but they don't have the same morals. They don't have the same constitution. And when I mean constitution, I'm talking about the original constitution, before they added the word secular and socialist in there. Not that one, the OG one, the one back in 1950. That's the one which was signed, autographed by all the people of the Constituent Assembly. That's the one I'm talking about. Because all this socialist bullshit just came few years later. So what should we do? What should we do? How do we empower this constitution and let the constitution empower us? How do you do that? You're like, India is in quite a tricky situation. On one hand, you're trying to fight a dragon, and then on one hand, you've got some cancer going on. On the other side, there's some, I don't know, chronic wasting disease which is present around our tiger reserves in Bengal, another crazy country trying to do us harm directly or indirectly. Then you've got development of gonorrhea down by the crotch of India, right in the groin area, the bottommost part. There's another country. I mean, they kind of fucked themselves over, and now we are having to pay the repercussions. And then they have the audacity to have Shri in their name. Ain't nothing Shri about it. Nothing admirable. Fuck that shit. And there's another case where I would like to say that our constitution might need some getting up to speed. Maybe some protein shake, if you will, or a Red Bull. Because right now we need the crazy energy. Might not need the best of the best. We need what works, which works fast, and it's guaranteed to give results. And I'm not talking about steroids, of course not. Right, recently I saw a case in the news, fucking horrific case. I don't even wanna talk about it, not to kill the vibe, but in the name of truth, I am here to make case for another true example for why we should make some changes in our constitution. First change is that for some serious, violent, really violent, heinous crimes, we should send minors or juvenile people of young age be subjected to the same punishments as adults are. Recently, I saw a case in the news. This bloody zombie. I don't even want to call this a human. This rat. This 16-year-old situation killed another guy, which was like 17 years old. Stabbed him 100 times. Was dancing on his dead body. Then stabbed him a bunch of more times. Danced some more dancing, some more stabbing, some more dancing. And he's gonna be tried under juvenile law, which means he cannot get severe punishments. I mean, what the fuck? Why can't he get severe punishments? I mean, we should look at the extent of the crime. I mean, even the intent. Because it was not just a murder which was, driven or inspired for money. It wasn't done for that alone. Because these are the marks of a serial killer. It's a bloody fucking psychopath you've got right there. If this guy was in America, he would be a school shooter or a mass shooter, right? He'd get a fucking big machine gun and just mow everybody down like ta 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 ta, like Salman Khan was doing in Tiger 2 with a big machine gun just shooting everywhere, being bulletproof. Oh, motherfucker. So yeah, but since luckily gun laws in India are not crazy, it's not easy for any Josh Mo to get a gun. I mean, it's bloody fucking easy if you're a criminal, which is something we should talk about and we will talk about in a second. But yeah, the guns are not as easily available in India. So this guy just got a knife and stabbed it 100 times. These are the people for whom I feel we should make a change in the constitution. Not only we should sentence juveniles with the same severity as we do adults in the case of murder, rape, terrorism. We should give them a fair trial, and by fair trial we should just see how quickly we should put them down. That's what should the trial be about. See, these people, you can't just have a debate. Oh, this child or this 16-year-old might not be a quite the perpetrator here. He might also be a victim in some ways. There might be some mental illness going on and everything. What do you do with a dog? Let's say there's a pit bull, right? You have a fucking rabid pit bull, and this pit bull is crazy. He's mentally ill, and he's killing your babies, somebody else's babies. He's just walking down the street and seeing all the kids who are just sitting on the footpath, they're just chewing their legs away, eating their legs away. What would you do? How would you deal with this fucking wild animal? And I hope everybody who's listening would say, we'd fucking put a dog down. Now, all I'm saying is, a 16-year-old, and we are not talking about 4 or 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 16-year-old person who does such a heinous crime. Guys can read about it on the internet more. I'm not gonna get much into details any further, but this person who does such a vicious crime or in such a horrific way, we can't, you know, even use the human law for him. We gotta treat him like a fucking animal. That's what he is. And you know what do you do with crazy animals? That's what's up. Or at least, we should be put in prison for the rest of his life. And it's not just about taking one life, right? Some people might say, oh, it's just one life. For that, you should not give somebody the death sentence and everything. But, the thing is, it's not just taking about one life. The situation is the way this thing was done. We gotta evaluate as a society that what is the possibility of this person doing something like this again, and what was their motive behind it. Was it an avoidable situation? Are they a flight risk? If we let this person go even after 20 years, are we risking regular civilians by putting this crazy psychopath on the streets? And I think the answer is pretty clear. No, we should not be doing that. But for that, of course, you gotta make changes in the constitution. And I think you don't have much time. It's only about 2 months from now, probably even less than 2 months, depending on whenever the episode goes live. Start something, man. Maybe start a petition. And another thing that I was talking about was we gotta make an example of such people. The thing about India is, while we do have death penalty, which is reserved for only the worst of the worst, and yet we fail to give it to them people who are the worst of the worst, and somehow they get to live in the system for a while, use up our resources. They should be fucking put down as soon as possible. Once, of course, you have established that they are guilty. But the thing is, in India, as I was saying, while we do have the death penalty, I think the only death penalty we have is death by hanging. That's it, right? Phansi, a neck noose. That's the only way we sentence people to die in this country, which I think is actually it's an old way. It's much more severe, and if you're just trying to end a life, that's not the ideal way. Although I'm about to make a case for more heinous ways to kill a person, but if you're trying to be kind, that's not the best way to do it. Firing squad is also a good situation. Lethal injections are all the hype in the West right now. Electric chair. The situation is so, you see, for the death penalty, it sometimes takes so much long for the sentence to actually be carried out. Like, it took months, if not years, for Kasab to be, executed. And even then, people were trying to make a case for him. And I'm not talking about regular, taking one life or two lives, but somebody who's, causing heinous acts of terrorism, slaughtering people like they're nothing. But those kind of, the extreme, the worst of the worst, right? The worst people, the people who sold this country when the Mumbai attacks happened. Because it's always an inside job, I feel like. Now, whether, I don't know what they say about 9/11 in USA, but most attacks that happen in our country are unfortunately an inside job. Somewhere somebody is helping Pakistan or these extreme terrorist groups, which are again controlled by ISI. So it's always, most cases, of course, here and there, they get some things right and they get lucky, but usually. So, yeah, for these people, maybe we should have some other kind of death penalty, right? Because these extremists, these Islamic extreme people, they believe in stoning people to death, right? So how about the families of the people whose lives were taken away from them? we should let those people stone these enemies of humanity itself to their end. The way I'm talking and saying these things, I don't know if I will ever be allowed to monetize on YouTube. And of course, I'm not somebody whom you should be taking legal or constitutional advice from, but I'm here to give you a part of the other truth, right? Here to give you some ideas of how to think. Maybe you'll take these ideas and run with them. Maybe these ideas will inspire you to do something about it. Maybe these ideas will serve as a catalyst for other conversations, other ideas. But that's something to think about. Something to think about. Would you like to have a bunch of random facts about the Constitution? It took about, 3 years to write this sucker. It has actually, helped the country in a lot of ways. Most people don't even know about anything about the Constitution actually, and I'm not gonna sit here riding a camel, blowing a shunk. I'm not gonna sit here doing these things and pretend I know everything about the Constitution, but I would like to think I know more than the average Joe, because the average guy doesn't know anything at all for the most part. And that's the thing, we should raise the bar the way we tried to raise the bar of our country at its start by taking a constitution and getting it inspired from all the good things, right? Give me all the good stuff, and then I'll put something of my own, and then I'll call it mine and have it serve the largest country and largest democracy in the world. I remember I used to say back when, I think, in school or in college, India is the largest democracy. But now we can say it's also the largest country and the largest democracy. And the weight of 1.5 billion people is putting a lot of strain on the Constitution. The shoulders are tired. They're asking for some help. Are you going to help the Constitution? Are you going to remember that when in 10 years, 15 years, India is doing amazing? Hopefully, you've still got a nice government like we seem to have right now. Hopefully, they correct their flaws and their mistakes. Nobody can say if they will, but one can hope. A man can hope. And that's all a man needs. Before I digress. So we must, take some of the burden off these shoulders of the Constitution. We should remember when in 15-20 years we're doing amazing, we should remember that the Constitution, which serves as the foundation of law and order and the rules and structure of this country, is something which was completed on 26th November 1950. But unfortunately, we have now a painful memory to celebrate on the date of 26/11. So we must serve our Constitution. We must improve our Constitution for these changes. And of course, you can be sure I'm going to suggest some more changes coming up in some more episodes. But for now, these changes, I wouldn't say should be incorporated, but they should be really, really considered. And we must remember that how such a wonderful day that it could have been was, you know, tainted with a memory of such another horrific event which tried to take out the Constitution, or at least the people who the Constitution is supposed to empower, protect, and guard, and all those beautiful things, all those beautiful things which we say about this colorful country of ours. Yeah, that's what's up. That's the truth. We're living in 2023. If we truly want to be back to the Sone ki Chidiya golden bird status, if once again want to control about 38% of world's GDP, allegedly, by 2047, within 100 years, then we gotta make sure that the days we celebrate keeps going up, and the days that we have to remember about such tragedies and losses do not happen even once in the future. Even once in the future. And on that note, I'll see you next time, people. This is Adventures with Truth. I'm your captain, Crack Sparrow. And yeah, and before I go, of course, if you are just listening on Spotify or if you're just watching on YouTube, I just got done uploading my first vlog series on the YouTube. There's a lot more to come, a lot more mountain vlogs, desert vlogs. They'll be coming up. So, hope you check them out. Hope you enjoy. This is me, You are listening on Adventures with Truth. And I'll see you next episode. Take care, people. Be beautiful.